Australia convene. This is a little bit different, I think, to most of the posters in that we're not so much looking at the individual trees of improvement, but trying to look at the wood as a whole. And in Victoria, there's been an interesting program called the Redesigning Hospital Care Program. The Victorian State Government's fund is most significant of its type in Australia, which has funded the embedding of redesign leads, people equipped with skills and improvement, in particular lean thinking and business process improvement skills, and has funded those in 32 hospitals across Victoria since 2008. So what we have here is a research study that's trying to examine what has been learned from this quite broad experience of trying to do innovation and change at that scale, and what implications it may have for the future development of the programme and more general redesign and improvement across the Victorian healthcare system. So we're 1 year into the project at the moment, so mainly we've been looking backwards and we're just starting to look forwards at what happens next. Now the main outcomes of the Redesigning Hospital Care Programme have been lots of individual successes, but probably two general problems. One is that those individual projects have difficulty scaling, even within health services, and certainly not across the health system as a whole. And there's an enduring, and as it came up earlier in one of the discussions, I think, in the posters, an enduring issue of clinician engagement. Since clinician leadership and engagement improvement is obviously a critical success factor. So we've interviewed just about everybody who's been involved in the Redesigning Hospital Care Programme from its inception, both currently and in the past, and tried to understand what they've learned from trying to do this kind of thing from the bottom up. And we've sort of summarised here some of the findings. Two of the critical things are that the redesign leads feel that they lack the authority in their organisations to do the kinds of things they really wanted to do. They've become very adept at being able to manage with the resources they have to hand. There are good lateral networks that the redesign leads have developed across the healthcare system to share what they've learned. They don't link into other networks, such as clinical networks or other, and not very well marshalled by the Department of Health itself. So interestingly, there's just been a review of the biggest review ever conducted of the capacity of the Victorian public healthcare system. And one of the recommendations from that review has been to try and look at redesign and improvement at a different level. So instead of focusing on embedding skills into health services, or even encouraging health services to look at the way they organise themselves in terms of innovation to try and get more clinician buy-in and so forth, and looking at the level above. And if any of you were at Helen Bevan's presentation, where she talked about tools and resources for improvement being the past and platforms being the future, the idea of a platform, though it's not yet gained full traction in the current debate in Victoria, I think is an idea that will become quite popular idea. And there's something called Better Care Victoria that's just been formed, which is a kind of hub for a network which might form that platform. And this is all kind of ongoing and in process at the moment. But if that comes to pass, I think we'll have a very interesting infrastructure for supporting healthcare improvement going forward. And one of our aims in the project is to work with our 4 partner hospitals, which Eastern is one, and see how in this different kind of framework redesign and improvement might be more successful in scaling beyond the individual successful